Okay.
Okay, so just so everybody knows, we're not going to do S50 today because that's a little bit longer walkthrough and a little more complicated. So we'll take that up. Again, I'll get that on the schedule, but we are going to do H10 and S73 and H10. I don't know if John Gannon is going to rejoin us or not, but let's just have Ameren walk us through the bill. And if John joins us, that's fine. So Ameren, if you want to walk us through H10, that would be great. Thank you.
Certainly. H10 is an act relating to permitted candidate expenditures. And this bill would amend the definition of expenditure under Title 17, Section 2901. Expenditure is currently defined as a payment, disbursement, distribution, advance, deposit, loan, or gift of money or anything of value paid or promised to be paid for the purpose of influencing an election, advocating a position on a public question, or supporting or opposing one or more candidates. This bill would create a new subdivision A to clarify that expenditures may include those expenses that are necessary to allow a candidate to campaign, such as expenses for the care of a dependent family member that are incurred as a direct result of campaign activity. And the remaining changes under that definition section are just redesignations of subdivisions, and the effective date in section 2 is on passage.
Great, that's a pretty, yes, Senator Collimore.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm guessing that we already voted on this last year. It certainly seems familiar. Is that not true?
I don't remember that we did vote on it last year. I think it was right at the end of the session and when everything got dispersed because of COVID.
So I know we probably had the discussion then. The phrase dependent family member, I believe, includes both daycare for offspring, but also, I want to phrase this correctly.
Parent, elderly.
Yes, okay. Someone that's in need of care because they've reached a certain age. Is that true?
Or not, they wouldn't have to have reached a certain age, I don't think. If you were responsible for caring for your adult disabled brother, and you needed to.
Yeah, but those terms would include both of those categories of people, I believe. I see John Gannon. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm sure you guys chewed it through. I didn't mean to catch a mid swallow. You probably chewed through this in the House, correct, John?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm correct with that assumption?
Yes.
I'm ready to vote it out. How's that?
Senator Clarkson?
So I understand, John, we don't need this. I mean, that this already is a possibility.
Can I just, I don't know if you got the note from Will Senning. He can't be here today, but he said it isn't necessary, but it helps clarify when they're constantly asked about expenses for, I mean, you can your lunch and your gas and all that kind of stuff, but they are always asked about this, and it would just help clarify it. And so while not necessary, it's a good clarification. So Representative Gannon, I'm sorry. Do you want
to? Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative John Gannon, for the record, to address Senator Clarkson's question. I mean, that is an important question. Will Senning did testify in our committee that currently, if somebody who's running for office came to them and asked if they could use campaign funds for child care or dependent care, his answer would be yes. However, and this has happened in other states, is when there's been a change in administration or a change in staff, sometimes that answer has changed. And by codifying this in statute, that can't happen. And I think that's an important thing, especially on this issue, which in some cases can be divisive. I think that's really, really important. And I think it's important also because, for working families and working parents, being able to use campaign funds for dependent care is really important if we want to level the playing field and have more people, a more diverse number of candidates running for office.
Well, and I guess this is an easier effort than raising our pay, which would also help.
I can't disagree with you, Senator.
So, any questions for Representative Gannon?
May I just ask one more?
Yes.
John, were there other issues that I know this was raised by other people, but did Will have other frequently asked questions that would be also good to just clarify and codify in statute?
That's a very good question. I don't recall if Will testified to that. We, unlike many states, we don't have a list of campaign expenditures. Many other states will have a list of what are appropriate campaign expenditures. We don't. So this is actually the start of a list in some ways. Because it's the first thing that is actually, set out that you can specifically spend campaign funds on.
And I'm going to jump in here, and then I'm going to let Kate, who's been very patient, give us her words of wisdom. I'm going to jump in here and say that this according to Will, has been a very, very frequent question, and because it involves any dependent family member. It isn't just children, it's your aged parent or your disabled adult brother, whoever it is that you need to take care of to let you have time to campaign. And the more we, and so I support this, the more we start listing things that means then that things that aren't listed are not acceptable, or aren't able to be used. So I think that we need to be very careful about starting to create a list. So
I agree.
Yeah. So Kate, thank you, Representative Gannon. I don't know if you want to stay and listen to our
you can
titillating debate.
You can avoid all the things you have to do in the House. You could just stay with us. You can be the ambassador from the House.
Right. You could pretend like you're taking a vacation.
Well, it's wonderful to discuss something other than pensions. So, I will stay until my next meeting.
Okay.
That's not helping warm up the issue for us.
Okay. Okay, Kate.
Thank you. Good afternoon. And for the record, my name is Kate Lapp, and I am the Government Reform Associate at VPIRG, the Vermont Public Interest Research Group. It's my pleasure to be joining you this afternoon in support of H10 as an important step toward making our democracy more fair, accessible, and representative of all Vermonters. While Vermont has made really great strides in gender parity, particularly in the General Assembly, where women comprise about 42% of the body, there's so much work to be done. I'm sure you all know, but Vermont is the only state that has never sent a woman to Washington, D.C. as a part of our federal delegation. And we haven't had a woman in the governor's office before or since Madeline Cunit. Additionally, studies have shown that since the pandemic, women have disproportionately lost their jobs and taken on more caregiving responsibilities. Those responsibilities are critical in our society, but often undervalued economically. Prior to joining VPIRG, I have actually worked and volunteered on numerous political campaigns myself. And I will share with the committee that I have personally witnessed how important access to childcare is to the success of a candidate and campaign. There have been times when, despite my role or title, whether I was a volunteer or the campaign manager for a statewide race, that I have been asked to take on childcare in addition to my responsibilities. An expectation that felt quite correlated to my age and gender when looking around the room at my peers and subordinates who were primarily male and older and not asked to take on that same responsibility. I've also seen numerous campaigns explicitly include childcare as one of their asks, when interacting with folks who may be interested in volunteering or supporting the campaign. While Elections Director Senning is certainly more the expert than I believe H10 would also allow a person who is volunteering in that caretaking capacity, if they choose, to be recognized for the very real monetary value of that donation as in kind, particularly if they also do that type of work professionally. By passing H10 and joining the 7 states that have legislatively formalized childcare as a permissible campaign expense, Vermont will not only be lowering barriers to running for office and opening the door for more underrepresented groups, women, single parents, working families, seek and hold office, but we're also sending the message that caregiving labor has a very real economic value. We note that the key provision in this bill is not limited to the care of a dependent family member, though that is the example that's explicitly provided. We believe this language is narrowly tailored enough to prevent possible abuse in the expenditures. Must be, quote, necessary to allow a candidate to campaign and incurred as a direct result of campaign activity. So we don't believe that anyone would be confusing this with a candidate slush fund. With that understanding, VPIRG supports H10 for these reasons mentioned and encourage the committee to support it as well. And thank you for the opportunity to join you today.
Thank you. Any questions for Kate? So Senator Collmore, did you want to make a motion?
Well, I first will make a statement. Somehow, I don't know how, I don't find myself able to support many of the initiatives of VPIRG. So I think this is a momentous occasion. And I'd like Paul to know that I was the one that first suggested that we pass this bill, Kate, if you pass that along. So yes, I'll move that we vote out H10, which came over from the other body with no amendments favorably.
All right. We do not have our clerk here with us, so I will, it's okay. We can do this. And when she comes back, we can, Senator Clarkson, would you like to call the roll?
As former clerk of Senate Government Operations, it would give me great joy to call the roll. We don't even have to amend this bill.
No.
So the motion before us is to pass H10 out favorably. And what?
With no amendments.
With no amendments. I know, a miracle. So I think I'm first. So Clarkson, yes. Collmore.
Yes.
Polina.
Yes.
And White.
Yes.
Great.
And when Senator Rahm comes back, we'll ask her for her vote since she is in the building.
Right.
She is on a Senate Economic Development assignment, which is really great that she's able to do it.
And Senator Collmore, would you like to report this? You hardly ever report campaign finance bills.
Yes, I will report this.
Great. You're going to get big points with Paul Burns. I mean, you may even develop a credit. Which
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll use that capital up before the session's over.
I think you've pre-spent it already.
That could be too.
Kate, thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all, and I'll be
Representative
sure to pass that along to Paul.
Yeah.
Hanna. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Well, that was fast. I thought that might be fast. So
I'm not completely sure about the process here, Madam Chair. I'm as confused as the next senator about
You
next.
get it from Amarin and you get the vote, which at the moment is 401, and you send it to John Bloomer. You send the final copy with the vote to John Bloomer.
Thank you.
And of course, you say that you'll be the reporter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And yes, you say you're the reporter.
yeah.
Thank you, sweetie.
And I think let's not do that until Senator Rahm comes
Thank
back. Is she likely to come back soon, Senator Clarkson?
Oh, she's waiting for us. So I'll ask her. How about that?
Okay. All right. But we can, well, we might have had time to do H5, S50, but I just feared that was a
I think that,
longer, more complicated bill. And I don't know, Gail, is Michelle was going to be available after 3:30, I think.
She is teed up and I just sent an invitation to her, so she
Great.
should be with us shortly.
Okay. So then we'll do S73. Thank you, Ameren.
And Amarin, if you can send a copy of the bill to me too, just so I know which one it is and it's clean, and that would be great. Thank you.
I will do that.
Thank you. Bye. So while we're waiting for Michelle, thank you for listening to that presentation on the OPR, on the convictions, because it's a huge issue. And when we went through it in judiciary, I was stunned, just stunned they had all the, did I send that to you? He sent me a copy.
I don't think you did, but he
Okay.
cited 97 places in our laws that need fixing or
There-
need to be addressed. anyway.
Tons of them. And mainly it's the issue that it's discretionary and there's no time limit. And it can be any nonviolent, nothing, it doesn't have to be associated with the profession. I mean, you probably wouldn't want somebody who's been convicted of major fraud or embezzlement to be certified as an accountant. But as a barber, why not?
It just makes me think of Sweeney Todd. She won't be coming back because she's sticking with this meeting.
Okay, well, thank you for staying with us.
Well, we didn't want to totally abandon you.
Okay,
So I'll have
So-
to wait till tomorrow to send it up, and then it'll be on notice Tuesday. I was hoping to get it out Tuesday, but that's all right.
well, why don't you just send her a note, Alice, and ask her if she wants to vote on it?
That would be good.
Yeah,
Don't we have rules about? Oh, okay.
we wait for people when they're in the building.
Want to vote on this?
In the meantime, Michelle has joined us.
Hi, Michelle.
So, Michelle, we're S73. We're going to do a quick walkthrough of it. And okay.
Sure. Do you want me to share the screen, or does everybody want to look on their own? Or
I'm okay looking on my own. Everybody else,
Me
what do you
too.
want?
Yeah,
I'm good on my own.
Okay. No screen share.
I think,
okay.
and it's 73, right?
Okay. All right. So Michelle, if you want to.
Sure. So, so this is an amendment to Title 28 in the parole chapter, interestingly, but it's pertaining to field supervision units. So for correction officers that are working in the field and the probation and parole offices out in the community. And you'll see in section 1 on page 1, it says that upon request of a correctional officer who's assigned to the field supervision unit, the Commissioner of Corrections shall, so I just want to note that it's not discretionary, shall authorize the officer to train and become certified by the Vermont Criminal Justice Council in the use of firearms for defensive purposes, appropriate use of force, reporting and record keeping relating to firearms, as well as personal liability for actions and conduct related to firearms. The commissioner and the executive director of the council are to develop the curriculum that's required to comply with the subsection. And then once a correctional officer successfully completes the training requirements, then they're permitted to carry a firearm while on duty and to employ it in a defensive capacity. I wanted to show you or talk to you just for a moment about the existing law in section 551A, so that you know how it works now. Excuse me, is that currently And I can email this to you if you're interested. Under the subsection A and B in this section that we're amending, there is subsection B states that the commissioner can authorize, so it's discretionary, and designate any correctional officer to become certified by the council as a law enforcement officer. And then the commissioner and the executive director of the council establish the curriculum for that particular training for that law enforcement officer. And then the commissioner by department policy can prescribe the use of those law enforcement powers and may direct that the correctional officer not carry any weapon while on duty. And so right now, it's discretionary with the corrections commissioner, but there is training required. So I just wanted to kind of mention that, but they would have to be trained as a law enforcement officer.
Fully, excuse me, fully certified.
I don't know specifically, but I assume. I don't know much about because I don't work on the training, the different training levels, but it does say to become certified by the council as a law enforcement officer.
Okay, yeah, then it would be.
To chapter 151. So I imagine they'll just fit within that existing statutory scheme.
So it could be a level 2 certified.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's it. It's pretty straightforward.
Senator Collmore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did sponsor this bill, but so you think I'd know all about it. But to be fair, this is the same exact bill that I think has been introduced in the past 2 bienniums. No, it is bienniums, I think, for that. And it never went anywhere. But so I'm just curious, Michelle, current law seems to be a little bit more expansive. In other words, in order for this to be possible, the parole or probation officer would actually have to go through all of the stages to become a certified law enforcement. This seems to say that he or she would not necessarily be a full law enforcement officer, but they would receive the same training with regard to firearms. I
believe that's the case. I don't have any history on this one. I'll be honest, not really sure how it wound up in my lap this year, but so I don't have the history on it. And it did come from VSEA, we want this. And so oftentimes we learn a lot of the background in trying to craft the legislation, but I really just kind of made it work for formatting purposes. So that's my understanding is right now the commissioner can basically send people through and to go through the training to be law enforcement officers. And as part of being a law enforcement officer, they can carry a weapon, but the commissioner has the discretion to say, I don't want you to carry a weapon. Whereas this is a little different in that it's just aimed at the firearms training. It would still be the commissioner and the executive director coming up with what that training should look like. And then they'd be authorized to use or basically their firearm while they're on duty. There isn't a provision in there the way the existing law that says that the commissioner can direct the law enforcement officer not to carry one. It's just it's that that basically if they go through the training, the commissioner has to allow them to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that and I don't think that currently they have to go through the whole 16-week, that they can be certified as level 2, which is like a 2-week training, which includes firearms training. So they could, and it's more discretionary for the commissioner. This would say if a probation or parole officer requests to be able to carry a gun, the commissioner has to let them go to the training and has to give them the right to carry a firearm on duty. So, Senator Clarkson.
It strikes me that this adds a level in an already toxic situation already. I think this just exacerbates our problems in prison. I really am concerned about this bill. I'm very concerned about this bill. And I would like to hear from parole officers. I'd like to hear from a whole range of people about this, because it strikes me that this is just going to elevate violence in our prisons.
Well, this isn't in the prisons. This is probation and parole officers. They're not in prison.
Right. Sorry, not in our correctional officers, but in already challenging, tense situations. I think it adds a level of, I think it ratchets it up considerably. And I think there is a value in many ways for people going in unarmed, and other people know they're unarmed. And I think that heightens respect. I mean, we'd have to hear from parole officers, obviously.
Or not.
Well,
we have had this bill before us, as Senator Colomer said, at least 3 times.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. Sorry.
It's okay.
Senator Colomer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, Senator Clarkson, I totally understand your point of view and appreciate it. I think at the same time, the work that these folks do puts them in situations which are very dangerous at times.
Mm-hmm.
And by going in a sense, without any sort of ability to defend themselves, they really do put themselves in a tough situation. So while I do understand and appreciate your view, I think that there is some merit to the discussion on the other side. I know when it was in Senate institutions, which is where it got referred to originally, by the way, Senator Terenzini testified. His father, Tom Terenzini, who's also a member of the House, was a parole officer for many, many years. And that family used to worry about him coming home at night, because he would have to visit people that had just been released from prison, and they were genuinely worried about his welfare when he did that. So he provided some testimony. I believe Vince Aluzzi also testified, because in all transparency, I did introduce this on behalf of the VSEA at their request, and they look out for their folks, and I believe he gave testimony too. So while I understand that this probably won't have enough support on this committee to advance, I thought it at least was worth introducing it, and I appreciate everybody's time.
Yeah, and it is a huge issue. My fear is that there are DCF workers who take children away from their families and go into bad situations also, and it could just begin to escalate. So anyway, Senator Polina, did you?
No, I was going to say what you just said about the Department of Children and Families and people having to go out and check on families that are in remote places. And because this party, I think they started talking about this more after the death of Laura Sobel a couple of years ago. It got the VSCA thinking hard about trying to make sure their folks were protected. But I do think it has potential to spread out a lot further than this bill. And I think that would be something that would take a lot of discussion before we moved in that direction.
Well, we can look at it further. It's definitely not meeting crossover, so we have some time. All right. Thank you, Michelle.
Sure.
So,
So can I ask if we are ready to vote on the Berry Charter?
Yes, but wouldn't it be nice to wait until Keisha's with us?
Yeah, we can. I'm just trying to.
Well,
I'm trying to get.
We took care of the other vote, and Gail and Keisha have already taken care of it. So
Okay.
Actually, I have a question about that.
Yes.
Can a committee member do a vote? No, she's got to be in the room, right?
I think she needs to technically be in the room, and
Yeah,
so
she does.
She could pop in really quick to do both these votes.
Okay.
Okay. Ask her if she can.
I will ask her.
I'll send her an invitation.
Okay, but
the reason I asked is because I'm trying to get as many things off as possible, because we're going to have a lot of stuff to do with retirement and so I'm trying to get things cleared off.
great, I've got it, because I've got to leave at about 5:05. But here she is. She'll be coming in. She says, so I said, can you come back quickly for 2 votes? And hopefully she will. The amazing thing about Zoom is you can be in one part of the state 1 minute and with GovOps in a heartbeat.
And Senator Polina, you probably want to report the Berry charter change, unless Senator Collmore wants to as our charter guy.
He does do a good job at it.
He does.
I'm fine doing it.
Okay.
He sort of developed a niche.
Yeah, but you're the senator for Washington County, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is often a tradition that we.
Either
I think
way,
that Senator Collmore has been doing them for the last couple of years.
I know, but we often are not representing those districts.
as I said, I'll be glad to do it if Anthony wants to do it.
Oh, here she is. Yep, she's coming back.
All right.
Is yes.
I'm not sure when John Bloomer stops accepting stuff for the day, so these may not make it on the notice calendar until Tuesday anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. I just would like to get them out of here.
Yeah. Understood.
Did you have to send Keisha a new invite instead of the old one?
Her old invite should have worked.
I usually just send another invite because it's.
Here she is. There she is. Okay, we have 2 things for you to vote on.
Okay.
So Keisha, we have voted to accept and report out favorably, and Senator Collmore is going to report it. H10, which is the ability to use campaign money for
Great.
dependent family.
I'm a yes, and I
Okay.
totally know that. Yep.
And if somebody wants to make a motion on the Berry charter change,
I don't know the bill number.
127
I would move that we vote at
H.
127 out favorably without amendments.
Okay. So if you want to call the roll, Senator Rom?
Yes, I will do that. Senator Clarkson,
Yes.
Senator Collmore,
Yes.
Senator Polina,
Yes.
myself, Senator Rom, yes. Senator White,
Yes.
and that passes on a vote of 500 as introduced, right? There's been no changes.
As passed by the House, yeah. Okay, and who is going to report that?
I don't see him stepping up, so I guess.
Okay.
it's me.
All right, great.
Can I go? I just like muted my other. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. Sorry about that.
All right.
I'll take care of getting a clean copy from, let me guess, it must have been, not Damien, but
Tucker.
Tucker.
Yeah, Tucker. All right.
Great.
I think we're done for today.